This is crazy. This is absolutely insane. From Chris Haynes talking on the Dan Patrick Show saying that there could be colossal changes in Milwaukee if the Bucks flame out in the playoffs, to first things first, FS1's Nick Wright highlighting and laying out a trade that would land us a supernova. We're going to break all of it down here on Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. And if you guys haven't yet, make sure you guys take a spur of the moment to get every Spurs moment by hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss all the great content from me, Josh, and Brian. But let's just get underway. Chris Haynes responds when asked if Milwaukee Bucks could trade Giannis this offseason, not just further in the floor, this offseason. In the last video that I did, I talked about how this could be one of the most intriguing off seasons for the San Antonio Spurs because we have such assets on the roster that we can move if we want to, and we have a lot of draft capital that we can move off of if we want to. Plus, we could just stand pat and we have a bunch of talent. We are in the best position in the league for a team that's not in the playoffs to go make ourselves a push here in the next half decade to decade. But Chris Haynes drops a major outlook for the Milwaukee Bucks, and this matters, and you'll see why in just a second. The season marks second straight campaign for Lillard and Antetokounmpo during the 2023, we know the trade from Lillard to Portland, Drew Holiday going to Portland, then ends up going to Boston, helps them win the championship, all that cool. Major run doesn't materialize this year, which they're already down 2-0 to the Pacers, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better. Dame is dealing with the same kind of thing that Wemby is dealing with right now. He came back much earlier, but it's going to be a minute for him to just get back into, okay, I'm going from not playing at all to playing a high-leverage playoff basketball with one of the most up-and-down teams in the league in the Indiana Pacers. But expect major changes to unfold according to NBA insider Chris Haynes. He said these 2025 playoffs for the Milwaukee Bucks, it's going to be pivotal. If they don't get to the finals, win the finals, or even make a deep run, you could probably see some wholesale changes going on in Milwaukee. That's what the insider said on the Dan Patrick Show earlier this week. And then he said he didn't rule out the Haynes did not rule out the Giannis breakup because obviously it could be coaching, it could be front office, Doc's probably gone, the front office GM could be moving, could be other pieces, but obviously the Dame and Giannis experience has not worked. Since the Bucks won in 2021, I apologize. Since they won the championship against the Phoenix Suns, they lost in the playoffs to Boston in 7. And because in Game 6, Giannis goes for 44 and 20, Tatum goes for 46, and then Grant Williams makes 7 threes in the Game 7 game in Boston. They go on to lose to the Warriors in the 2022 finals. Then they lose to the Heat, where Giannis is injured and then coming back in halfway, and then last year Giannis is injured, and then this year is what this year is right now. But in the wake of the Bucks' challenges, there have been constant rumblings around the future of Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Greek sensation, who dropped another MVP caliber season, has maintained his winning commitment to the Bucks amid outside noise. He says that, but here's the thing. They also traded Kareem in his prime, and we saw what he ended up doing with the Lakers. The Bucks have moved on from massive pieces before, and they're in a situation where they don't really have other people to trade. Brook Lopez is going to be a free agent this year. Obviously, they don't have Chris Middleton. No one wants to trade for a battered and bruised old Damian Lillard. They don't have that many pieces around them. Milwaukee's not a great destination. So the fact that Giannis could be out of there is realistic. And then before the two-time MVP recently dropped a cryptic, the dissatisfaction he has with the overall career accomplishments, and should he in the Bucks fall to make a deep payoff run or fail, Haynes believes that both sides could reassess their partnership. I could see them going in a different direction, and I could see it going different direction if it goes sour in the playoffs for sure. This looks like it's going sour. They could get swept by Indiana. I don't know what's more sour than getting swept by Indiana. But then on first things first, they talked about this, and then they brought up this trade. Giannis Antetokounmpo to the San Antonio Spurs for Stephon Castle, Keldon Johnson, Harrison Barnes, the Atlanta 2027 first, the Chicago 2027 first, Boston 2028 first, the Dallas 2030 first, Minnesota 2030 first. I might get flack on this from this channel and whatever. I know a lot of the people here, because of the fact that the Spurs don't traditionally do this in the past of, hey, we have a player, we want to go build around him. They don't traditionally go and trade out for these massive stars. We don't know what RC, we don't know what Brian Wright are going to do. Obviously, they went out and not out of nowhere because we thought the rumblings of De'Aaron Fox, but the package that they got for De'Aaron Fox, great. And we have a position now where when this team grows, they could grow into something and possibly they can get to themselves to that championship window. If we trade for Giannis, we're going to be the best team in the league. And that's not a question. We would have the most scary defensive unit in the front court maybe ever. Like, we had the Admiral and Tim Duncan. The Admiral towards the back half of his prime years, and then obviously young Tim Duncan. We're getting prime Giannis, who's won a Defensive Player of the Year, and Wemby, who is going to win probably 3 of them things. Add that, you have De'Aaron Fox, you still keep Devin Vassell, you still keep this year's picks. You can still draft young rookies this year. I think that this would be a no-brainer deal if you're doing this. And I understand that people in the Spurs organization and everybody probably watching this now are going to think that I'm crazy because of the fact that we don't do this, we build organically, and I understand that. But the Bucks are getting rid of Giannis. At some point, I don't think Giannis retires a Milwaukee Buck. That's just me personally. It's been too much lack of success there. He's been doing this. This is 30, 12, and 6 since his first MVP in 2018-2019. From ages 24 to 30. He's only 30. And this is in 33 minutes. His per 36 is like 32, 13, and 7 with a steal and a block. He is a 2-time MVP, won back-to-back. Already a top 75 player to ever play. Put up 50 points in an NBA Finals game in Game 6 to get his first championship. Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVP. If we could get Giannis Antetokounmpo, literally the league is over. It is absolutely over. It wouldn't even matter at that point. Giannis and Wemby alone is a championship. Add De'Aaron Fox, that's a championship. Add in Devin Vassell, who is still there. And trust me, I love Stephon Castle as much as everybody else here does. He is amazing. And if this trade doesn't go through, you want to know what we have? Wemby, De'Aaron Fox, Harrison Barnes, Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, and all the picks that we have coming forward. This isn't like a bad place that we're in. That's why this is the most intriguing offseason, because that's a real option. Whether it happens or not, or whether you think Giannis is a real option if they get swept by the Pacers, which it looks through 2 games that they might get 1, and that's due to the fact that Giannis is so great. But they can lose in 5. And so the last 3 seasons for the Bucks, since their championship, it would be lost to the Celtics in the second round, lost to the Heat in 8 seed and 5 in the first round, lost last year, Giannis didn't play, he was injured, and this year lost in the first round again for a guy who was at the peak of his powers playing at 30 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. Yeah, if that guy comes available, move heaven, and we're not going to move off of Fox, and clearly we're not moving off of Wemby. But whatever else, yeah, let's go get him. Because you put Wemby, Fox, and Giannis together, that is championships. Soon and later. Championships. So I'm all for that. Will Milwaukee do it? We don't know. They might get a better package, like maybe Houston throws them something, maybe. But we have the ability to throw so many picks, and we have young talent that is movable if needed. Yeah, we're not going to move Stephon Castle for De'Aaron Fox. There's no need to do that. We can get away with just moving Trey Jones, Zach Collins, couple picks. Yeah, we can do that. But Giannis, yeah, I'm all for that. I am all for that. Let me know what you guys think. I'm sure I'm going to probably get killed because I know the Spurs don't traditionally do this, and I understand that the young talent is great and we can develop. But every year is not guaranteed, and let's go have the ability to get that guy championships at 22, 23, 24, not 4, not 5, not 6. Shout out LeBron, but that's what this would be. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Spurs. If that is to happen, the league's over. This has been Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner.